Shanghai. A good part of the reason is China, now an economic superpower competing in every arena of human endeavor. From trade, business, and finance, to diplomacy, defense, and security, from science, technology, and innovation, to culture, media, and sports, China's growing strengths have global implications. I'm Robert Lawrence Kuhn. In my book, How China's Leaders Think, I assess China's current and future leaders. In this series, I assess Expo. And I seek clues about the future of China. The implications are stunning. Yusai Khan, an American born in China, is a cosmetics entrepreneur and author of books on style and etiquette. As a well-known Chinese American, she proudly represents the USA Pavilion.
Hello, Robert. How are you? So good to see you.
Very good.
Yusai has become a good friend.
Welcome to my home.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So this is
What energizes her passion for Expo?
As a Chinese American, what does the Expo mean to you?
Well, Expo really means that the whole world comes to China. The reason why I say that is because, you know, probably it's the first time in the history of mankind that 192 countries are going to be coming here. For a Chinese American, it is extraordinary. I mean, we have an opportunity also in the U.S. Pavilion to show off our own culture as well. What we have done in this country, what we have done in the United States. I really do think that Chinese Americans play a major role in the opening of China in the last 30 years. And I think it's nice that this time of World Expo, we have a chance to now tell a little bit of that story.
We were on our way to the USA Pavilion when Yusai, an art aficionado, stopped to show me China's new cultural commitment, public art.
Wow.
This pair of panda is called 和和谐谐, means harmony.
Yeah.
World harmony. This is part of the project called Art for the World. Art for the World project is a public art project that was proposed by the Chinese government for the Expo. I never heard of the Chinese government really going after a public art project. This is a huge project. It's about $20 million. 11 artists from China and 9 artists from all over the world.
It's a great statement about the world city nature of Shanghai.
Yes.
And the focus on individual creativity. It's not just state creativity.
Yes.
It really symbolizes the new China.
Yes.
We had hardly reached the USA Pavilion when Yusai noticed something was amiss.
You know, Robert, you know what I just realized? I just realized that the USA Pavilion does not have the Chinese characters. I think they really should know
Everybody
that.
else has.
And then Peru has Bilu. Basi has Brazil. Only we don't have any Chinese character. Don't you think we should have it?
Absolutely.
I think we should tell them. I think we should really tell them. I think we really should tell them that
You're a girl in action.
No. We should tell them. Rita, hey, this is Yusai.
Jose Villarreal is the commissioner of the USA Pavilion, which, it's no secret, almost didn't exist.
I have an overview of what I'm going to see when I go. Jose, I'm an American, proud to be an American here at the USA Pavilion. Tell me about it.
The first thing that visitors will see when they approach our doors is student ambassadors, something we are so proud of. These are kids from every state in the Union, and for many of our visitors, this will be the first American that they actually speak to. And to see them, speak to them in Chinese, because they're all bilingual, they all speak English and Chinese, is just something that's very, very special. So this is one of my favorite exhibits. It is called The Chinese in America, We Are Family. And the reason I like it so much is that because through this exhibit, we tell the story of America, the story of immigrants. We tell my story. I'm the grandson of Mexican immigrants. Yeah. And through this story, we tell my story, we tell President Obama's story, we tell everybody's story in America. So one of the things that I am most proud of is the example of private sector Americans supporting the USA Pavilion. It is something that is quite unique. One of our major sponsors is the New York Stock Exchange. And in fact, we're going to have a real bell ringing here in a few weeks when the New York Stock Exchange has their sponsorship day. So that's very exciting.
Terrific.
As an American, I'm proud that our USA Pavilion is led by a Hispanic American and represented by a Chinese American. How perfectly, I thought, to personify America. Across our globe, urban catastrophe looms. Overcrowding, pollution, unsustainable development, global warming. Humanity's hope lies in rethinking our cities. New technologies, sure, but also new respect for human living. The nations of the world have come to Expo, offering the best ideas on Earth. But in real cities, can they work? To begin to find out, I meet Mike Lippert, a designer of the Danish Pavilion.
And we wanted to bring like real stuff from the Danish cities, like a playground, city bikes that you can use for free, and of course the real Little Mermaid, as a generous gesture towards the Chinese.
Symbol of Denmark.
It is the symbol of Denmark, and it's the best we have in Denmark. Yeah. This is what we wanted to bring to Expo.
We're very happy that she's arrived. She was taken.
Denmark's former ambassador to China, Christopher Bo Bramson, is an expert on the Little Mermaid. He's now Commissioner General of Denmark's pavilion.
What is the significance
of
Little Mermaid?
If you look at the theme of the Expo, Better City, Better Life, our interpretation of that theme is what this house is all about. Welfare and fairy tales. You put it into one word and say welfare tales. Right. She represents the fairy tale part, that life is more than just technical buildings, but also stories.
So here we have a bench that we call the social bench, made by Danish artists.
Beautiful design.
It actually divides the bicycles coming down here, people on real city bikes, Copenhagen city bikes coming down. Actually, after you finish watching the exhibition, you can take a bike and you go all the way through the exhibition again and see it by bike.
It's been a while since I rode a bike.
Here we go. Now it's just an easy slope down.
Very smooth. Whoa!
To share and to trust, to appreciate cultural diversity, to build a community of nations. It's the Confucian ideal, living in harmony while respecting differences. Together we can do much more than we could ever do alone. Expo's theme song. And now, all humanity is at Expo. Races, religions, creeds, and colors. Science, technology, design, and culture. The richness of humanity, for all to partake. From Saudi Arabia, we experience the grandeur and elegance when contemporary vision energizes traditional values.
The shape of the building is like a moonboat, which has a...
I meet Dr. Mohammed El Ghamdi, Executive Director of the Saudi Pavilion.
Before we start doing all this thing, and we discovered that Chinese look to the shapes in a very deep meaning. They don't look at it as a simple way. And the moonboat representing good and prosperity to Chinese. But also it has a positive meaning also to the Arabs, because the first shape that the Chinese know about Arabs is the shape of the ships that came through the Silk Road. Oh. So that is a connection between the two civilizations.
So this the pavilions.
Given China's continuing growth, particularly after the financial crisis, relations between Saudi Arabia and China take on special significance. Economically linked by energy and mutually committed to stability, Saudi Arabia and China help shape the New World Order. The crown jewel of the Saudi Pavilion, and one of Expo's most spectacular exhibits, is the largest immersive screen in the world.
That's very cool as well.
Off we go.
This is 1,600 square meters. The largest screen now exists in the world is 1,050. This is 1,600.
Wow. And it's ceiling, and you're immersed.
The visitors are actually part of the screen.
Yeah. Because it's flowing, we're traveling, and it's going beneath us. That's classic design.
Yes, it's Islamic patterns. Yes. The whole screen, 1,600, full of this beautiful patterns.
Yeah.
In this enormous atrium, walls and fountains adorned with traditional Arabic calligraphy and geometrical latticework, classical poetry and contemporary art, I feel the fusion of grace and beauty. In the African Joint Pavilion, I am overwhelmed by the wall of the African smile. 28 African faces from different ethnic groups, derived from Lucy, the earliest human fossil, the foremother of human beings. But how could many of these African countries, relatively poor, pay for their pavilions? Here's how. The cost of designing and building the pavilions of all 42 African countries, $100 million, was paid for entirely by China. But China was sensitive. It paid the bills, but it did not control the content. Each African country directed its own design. China has had long interest in Africa. Now China needs resources, particularly energy, and this is what Africa has in abundance. China also knows what it means to be poor, to be ignored by the major powers. This, too, makes China sympathetic to Africa.
That's what it's about.
I meet my good friend, Peter Shao, a visionary media entrepreneur originally from China.
Bring the two sides together. But
Peter, we're here at Expo. You were born in Taiwan. You had a life in the U.S. with the U.S. government. What kind of emotions do you feel here?
well, I think one of the word exhilaration comes to mind. You know, it was just less than 2 years ago, standing on the grounds of the Olympics, and now here at the Expo, you know, two great global institutions have come down to China. I feel that this is the closing of a chapter. You know, the initial chapter of closing, of saying hello to the world and inviting the world onto the China soil. And I think my feeling right now is really looking forward to the emergence of China and on the stage where I think leadership is really, there's a global leadership vacuum. and really feeling a great desire to push China to step into this vacuum and be a balancing force for the planet at this very critical juncture.
Balance has always been central to Chinese philosophy. Sensing the equilibrium between forces, whether in the human body or between countries. Between China and Japan, there has been a long, complex, and tortured history. At Expo, Japan supports China, focusing on the future. Their pavilion exemplifies high-tech, optimizing the natural environment. The outer covering changes day and night, mirroring the movement of nature. Vertical hollows embed the power of nature, admitting sunlight using stored rainwater, circulating air naturally. The Japanese pavilion is about past, present, future. Japan pays respect to China for Japan's cultural development. Japan is stressing excellence in the arts and sciences, contemporary design, livable cities. The future hovers around me, envelops me. For robots to make even simple human-like movement is extraordinarily difficult. Playing the violin, I'm in awe. For Germany, it's also about balance and fresh ideas from the frontier of urban design. The German pavilion has been christened Balance City. Why? I meet the designer.
Different forms and shapes, and they are balanced, well balanced, like a pair of dancers.
What's the concept inside?
The concept is a journey, like a promenade, through different city spaces.
So where are we going?
Now, this is the first exhibition point. It's a very important point because the visitors should forget the other pavilions.
Well, it's easy to forget. It's so encompassing.
Yeah. New energy.
Our journey takes us through the planning office, a space exploring urban design.
Yeah, this is, I think, a very interesting project. It's about different generations living together.
You're going from kindergarten to assisted living.
Yeah, and they live together in one building, and this is one fixed point in a city quarter.
A sustainable house with extended families all living under one roof. Whether you like all this togetherness or not, such new thinking is what cities need. Then to the energy source, the symbolic city's power plant, expressing the supreme value of human life and a healthy environment. Cities can work, but only if they provide balance. Balance between renewal and preservation, innovation and tradition, urbanity and nature, community and individual, and work and leisure. Balance makes better city, better life. Expo is about new ways of thinking, not only new methods of doing. So, as Germany is to engineering, Israel is to innovation. Israel's pavilion is the creation of Chaim Dotan, a visionary architect who marches to his own beat, with a very special connection to Shanghai.
And we can really clearly see the dialogue of the two forms, like two hands, and these kind of forms that makes it so, I think, peaceful, graceful. So this is the dragon, and as you walk in here very peacefully and walk between the trees and being seen but sort of secluded. So it's a very relaxed garden, inviting garden. Dancing here, just like a ballet. It's an introduction to Israel because Chinese people do not know much about Israel. Here is the Great Wall, starting with the
Wailing
script.
Wall.
This is the Wailing Wall, but it's a script.
House of the Lord.
Within the house of the Lord, within Jerusalem, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And it talks not about only Jewish people, but about all nations.
Chaim, I know that in addition to being a great architect, great designer, that China has deeper meaning for you as a Jew, as an Israeli.
Yeah, it's actually an emotional period of my life. In my life, it's a connection to history, things that I never envisioned before. The Chinese government at the turn of the century and also during World War II saved my family. My mother was born here. They say in Chinese, Ijo Nian Wo Mama Shenzai, Shanghai. My mother was born in 1919 in Shanghai. And there were refugees from South Russia, and they came to Shanghai. There were many thousands of refugees coming here. And the Chinese government and people were generous enough, and they hosted them, and they gave them life, in a sense. And then they immigrated to Israel. So this is the life part of my life.
We took to the streets. Chaim, the offspring of Shanghai Jews, European and Russian Jews turned away by Western nations who found refuge from persecution only in Shanghai.
So your mother was in Shanghai when?
She was in 1919. I believe my great-grandparents came here in 1915 or 1916. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Chaim was determined to find where his grandmother had lived and his mother had been born. So much had changed. But we had a map of old Shanghai.
What address are we looking for?
What is 118, I think.
Could we figure it out?
Did we do the whole block already?
Yes.
Which one?
Where is Tianjin? Oh, the next one. 18 has got to be here where they tore down. It's a parking lot.
I mean, this is what it's all about.
That's your grandmother's house.
History and heritage, now an empty lot, making way for some futuristic urban development. It's the same story throughout the world, though one has a sense that in China, particularly in Shanghai, the future comes a little faster. So why are all nations gathered gallantly here at Expo in Shanghai? To save our cities, to protect our planet, to seek harmony among peoples, to share diverse cultures, to build the global community, to make for our children a better world than we have for ourselves. All nations have also come to celebrate China, to recognize China's emergence as a great power and a responsible nation. For China This is an honor and a burden. For the world, we wait and hope.